So hey guys, so now I am going to review Batgirl issue number 7 for you guys. So in the last issue of Batgirl, we just ended, Gretel's storyline. So that only lasted 2 issues, while the first 4 issues were about the villain Mirror. Now in this Batgirl issue, we open up with Batgirl in the sewers, and her head's underwater because a guy in this mysterious mask is trying to drown her. Now, she gets out of this by escaping by taking her grappling hook, and she actually shoots the grappling hook up and hits the guy in the face and knocks off his mask. And we actually learn that this guy is actually a metahuman. But then later on, he escapes and pulls a Batman trick over Batgirl because he was standing right in front of Batgirl, and then a second later he's gone, so he actually pulled a Batman on her, which is kind of funny. But then, it shows us 2 hours earlier, Batgirl, descends from a rooftop or whatnot and, knocks on a window of Dinah's house or apartment. Now, Dinah is Black Canary, and she wakes her up and tells Dinah, okay, we gotta spar. So, Batgirl and Black Canary are sparring each other at her dojo, and, they're just fighting it out, just having, just a good spar. And then, what's running through Batgirl's mind is that, she's not doing so well because Black Canary notices that you're not Batgirl because you don't fight like her, because we all know that Batgirl can actually hold her own against, any criminal in, the Batman's rogue gallery. But she hasn't been, Batgirl for a while because she was Oracle, she was in a wheelchair, so she's a bit, not on par with, how she was back then. But, Black Canary notices it, and she, points it out and says, like, oh, are you some cheerleader that took Batgirl's costume? And this really frustrates and pisses Batgirl off, and she, starts humbling Black Canary, but then Black Canary gets her in a, arm lock, and she escapes from it later on, but what's really running through Batgirl's mind is that she notices that, in the last couple of issues, she's got her butt beat pretty often. Like, she did beat the villains, but, she did take some serious damage, and normally she wouldn't be able to do that because she's a very smart and, very strong girl. She can actually hold her own, like I said. And then, after that, we open up with Commissioner Gordon actually finally, meeting up with his wife and actually sitting down and talking. But then, we find out the reason why Barbara Gordon, Barbara's mother, actually Barbara and Barbara, but then, we find out the reason why she left the family in the first place was because of James Jr. And after that, that's where to cut off with, where Commissioner Gordon and Barbara are talking. But after that, we open back up with, Barbara Gordon and Dinah talking at her apartment after their spar. And Barbara unleashes a load on, Dinah by, complaining about, how she feels bad about people in wheelchairs, how she's scared and whatnot. And she's just, ranting on. And, Dinah's like, didn't we go over this? Come on, you're a strong girl. You're smart, You might not be physically, out there right now because you haven't been Batgirl for a while. And 6 months takes a long time to get, adjust to, it still takes time to adjust. And, Barbara still complains and, still feels depressed, but then, Dinah slaps her across the face and snaps her out of her depression and puts her back in place. And after that, Dinah tells Barbara that, we got some intel about this guy named Grotesque, and actually Grotesque is actually the guy in the first part of this issue with the mask. And she tells him that, he's having this kind of gig going down, and we hear that he's going to try to rob somebody. So basically, yeah, he was going to rob someone at a party, and Batgirl goes over and checks it out. And we learned that, of course, actually I didn't mention this in the first part of the issue, but the guy, Grotesque, he's a metahuman. So his ability is able to suck up electricity and he's able to use it. And also, I guess, is able to enhance his strength and power if he sucks electricity or absorbs it. But yeah, after that, Barbara chases after him, and they ended up in the sewer. And I won't spoil what happens in the end, but yeah, that's basically what happens in the end. So after that, what I have to say about this issue. No, this issue was pretty good. I mean, even though it brings up that really major point that Barbara Gordon really needs to get over her fear of, what happened to her like 3 years ago with the Joker and everything like that. She has to overcome that fear. So that's a good point to actually bring up. But the one thing, the minor gripe I have about this is that, I feel like they should have brought this up, a bit earlier because, in the last couple of issues, we thought that she's finally gotten over, this problem because she was able to, at first, the first issue, she wasn't able to actually, fight against someone who was actually holding a gun towards her and she was a bit scared to her wits in the first issue. And then later on, when Greta was actually introduced, she got over it. We thought that she got over it, but I guess she hasn't yet. So, yeah. So, I think that point should have been brought up a bit earlier. Like, they should have really, really fixed up on that. Because I feel like, we're on the 7th issue now. And then, the Court of Owls, event is coming up. Like I said, everything's going to have, everybody in Batman's universe is going to have to deal with this. And to bring up this issue right now just feels like, I didn't really like it, but I still think it's a good story. This is a good issue still. But I just feel like it's not, in my opinion, it's just brought up a bit too late, in talking about it now instead of late, before. But anyways, I did like this issue. I still, highly suggest you guys pick this issue up. And also, there was a bit of some art issues that I had. I mean, there's, the same artist still draws this comic, but there was an issue where, like, Batgirl was, like I said, she was descending from a building, to Dinah's apartment, but then her eyes were closed, and I was just like, that's a bit of an art mistake. I mean, I would have loved her eyes to be open, because what is she doing? Is she sleeping? Like, oh god, she's, on her grappling hook, and then she's like, she falls asleep, and she falls. I mean, like, that was a bit of art mistake, and then sort of I felt like they made Barbara Gordon's mother a bit chubbier, and Commissioner Gordon a bit more chubbier because as I imagine Commissioner Gordon's he's a bit hefty, he's a bit strong, muscular, but I always imagine his face is a bit scrawny, not too puffy looking, but yeah, that was just my minor gripe. That's just all I had minor gripe with the art, but still, yes, the art's still great, just those couple of things. But yes, like I said, pick up this issue, highly recommend it. It's really great to actually talk about this problem in Batgirl's universe or Batgirl's world right now. But yeah, I hope you guys pick this issue up, and I hope you guys like this review and hope you find this helpful at least. And yeah, talk to you guys later.